All right, Bridgewater football preparing for their final non-conference game of the season at Apprentice, coming off a loss to nationally ranked Thomas More, where really it seemed like it came down to a couple of big plays. I think there were 3 third downs where you guys gave up 30 yards or more, a 4th down where they picked up 25. So apart from that, certainly some positives on how you guys stood up against a team that can match up well with anyone in your conference.
Well, we had a chance to compete against a national team. When you're in those positions, we didn't get the stops we needed on the defensive side of the ball. We had 3 trips to what we call the score zone, got on their side of the 40 and walked out of there with nothing to show for it. And really the sequence right at the end of the first half and right at the start of the third quarter, I think kind of dictated the game. We were down there, we had a 1st and 10. Quarterback had a good read, tried to take a takeoff shot in the end zone, slips out of his hands, and we get a very bad interception to end the half. Come out at the end to start the third quarter, knowing that we needed to get a 3 and out, had him sitting there at 3rd and 10, and let him get off the hook, back in our territory. And then really from that point on, once they scored, it was going to be a matter of what the score was, not who was going to win the game. But my hope is, Jimmy, is that that game, even with loss, is something that will make the team better down the road. And they were a big, fast football team. We saw what we need to aspire to in terms of size and strength and speed.
There's a lot of question marks coming in the year on offense, and it seems like a lot of the new players you plugged in have done some good things. Maybe the one question mark you're still looking at is how to run between the tackles. You moved Malavi Barker into more of a spot. Got a big touchdown run. It was on a catch and run, not a rush. But what are you trying to do in that area to keep improving?
Well, we really came in and really thought, hey, we're going to try to be the spread option, tempo, running football team. And sometimes we're learning with it, and if somebody would have said, hey, you have 6 touchdown passes, we've yet to have a rushing touchdown, through our first 2 games, I would have been surprised right there. I don't think there's any question to do good on offense, whatever your scheme is, you got to be a little bit of a two-fisted fighter. I have been pleased that I think we've thrown the ball more than good enough to pester people. We're keeping the field spread, but now we just got to get some of that speed to show up. And part of that's maybe our part too. We got to be a little more patient. We got to be willing to pound and grind a little bit. And we had a big challenge here this weekend because we're going against a big defensive front. Now we know where they're going to line up, and as we move forward, this is a work in progress. I think how we go down and how we play on the road here is going to be very important. But what we really need to be able to do is, after this week, we got to be able to not just study our people, but study our plans in the open date and find out, okay, this is what gives us the best chance to meet our big-time goals, which mainly are conference-based.
And this weekend you're playing an Apprentice team that so far through 2 games seems like they're stronger this year. They're one last-minute touchdown drive against Methodist away from being 2-0. So you talk a little bit about what we can expect from them this week.
They've been on the road. They're always a big athletic football team. You're right, that was a 2-point game at the road at Methodist, and went down and beat a Greensboro team very badly on the road last week, where they just mulched them. We really didn't have to throw the football to win. If I'm not mistaken, rushed for about 386 yards. So it's going to go down. When you go down to Newport News, we're going to deal with the weather. We've practiced with weather. That's part of our MO up here. But I think it's cliche-ish, but it's really still about us. As I mentioned to you in the post game last week, we have a chance to be a good football team, but it's going to involve hard work. It's going to involve hard work and efficient play, whether it be against a ranked Thomas More or against a Newport News program that we've beaten the last couple of years. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, but that's what our kids are ready for. And my hope is we can go on the road, bring a victory, and nothing beats a win with an open date backing it up. You get to win twice, and I'm hoping I'll take a motivated bunch on the road.
I was just going to ask that, with a bye week coming up, does that change the preparation at all after this, or is it just the same during the week?
Well, no, as I mentioned, I think it allows us a very quick self-study, just the way it breaks down, the fact that we get 2 weeks before conference play. We have a JV game on Sunday. We'll go back and we'll rewatch those 2 JV games we've played just to make sure we're playing the right people. But then very quickly we'll move on to Hampton-Sydney. I think starting I thought the extra preparation we had for Gettysburg paid a dividend. We're going to get that same thing for Hampton-Sydney, but that's a distant thought for me right now. I got to stay focused and centered really on the Apprentice school, because I'm not good enough to overlook anybody. And they're going to be a confident team that we're playing at home, that we've managed beating the last 2 years, but you've been there. We've had to hustle to do it. It's been a struggle. They're a team that's going to line up and fight us. They're well coached. It's a big Keppa, their offensive coordinator, was at William & Mary for years and years and years, and they're well schemed on defense, because I think they take good athletes and pressure you. We're still new at the quarterback position, and how quarterbacks handle pressure That's a big indicator. That'll be a nice card to get on the table to let our kids evaluate themselves with.
And I should mention for our fans for this game, we will have Carl Magenhofer with an online radio feed, but there will not be video streaming. Still waiting on hearing on live stats as well, so maybe if you have Saturday off, take a trip down there. It's a beautiful area. I think we had a pretty good away contingent at Gettysburg, so hopefully a lot of people can make the drive down there.
Well, you don't have to hurry back because we don't play the next week, and we'll take all the support we can get. I always appreciate Eagles and the fans. It's a close setting, and you'll be sitting close to me, and if you're down there, the bleachers are pretty close. Don't be yelling at the coach because I'll hear every word you say.